This is an AI-generated podcast based on the article From Ashes to Foundation: How Caitlin LaBrie Turned Failure, Sobriety, and a Near-Broken Marriage into a Mission for Families, written by Apryl. The article link is in the show notes. Welcome to Kingdom Factor Collective. I'm your host, Apryl, and today I'm sitting down with Caitlin LaBrie, a home daycare operator, founder of Footprints Family Foundation, mother of 5, and honestly, someone whose story I think a lot of people are going to connect with on a really deep level. Caitlin, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So I want to start right at the beginning because I think context matters here. You've described your testimony as, and I'm quoting you, so simple. But from where I'm sitting, it really isn't. Can you just take us back to where faith entered the picture for you?
Yeah, so I grew up knowing who Jesus was. My mom was intentional about that. Like, we had a birthday cake for Jesus at Christmas, which I always thought was kind of sweet. But I never really read the Bible. I just disregarded it, honestly. And then somewhere around 2011 or 2012, I was just sitting in front of the TV watching CBN, and Pat Robertson led viewers in a prayer. And I was like, fine, I'll pray the prayer with you, Pat Robertson. And from there, God just started really working in my life. Things started happening around me, and I kept thinking, it has to be Him. It's obviously Him. Does that make sense?
It totally does. And what I find fascinating is that God had already been moving in your life even before that moment, specifically around sobriety. Can you unpack that a little?
Right, so this is the part that still kind of gets me. 16 years ago, I was struggling with alcoholism. It had roots in my family history, and it picked up speed in high school. And I prayed a prayer to God, not really knowing Him, and He just delivered me from it before I even really had a relationship with Him. And then I met my husband shortly after that, and life just started taking a new shape. To me, sobriety and marriage saving, that's a miracle. 5 kids, that's awesome. I don't say that with any kind of performance, it's just what it is.
16 years. That's significant. And I want to stay on the marriage piece for a second, because you've been really open about the fact that it almost didn't survive. Just last year, divorce was a real possibility. What shifted?
Yeah, so a lot of the time I was thinking, oh, it's him, if he would just change or just do this. And God kind of gave me this nudge, no, it's you too. And that was hard to sit with. But when I focused on becoming more like Christ in the way I showed up in my marriage, my husband noticed. He responded. And we just got better in that way. It wasn't dramatic, it was incremental, but it was real.
That's interesting because what you're describing is this inward shift that produced an outward result. And I think for a lot of people in difficult marriages, that's counterintuitive. We want the other person to move first, but you moved first.
Exactly, and it wasn't easy, but I think that's the thing. When you actually try to practice what Jesus teaches in your most important relationship, something changes. And my husband recognized that, and he's doing the same, so yeah.
Let's talk about the foundation, Footprints Family Foundation. You've been running a home daycare since 2016, and out of that experience, you built something that's addressing affordable childcare. What's driving that for you?
So parents have to choose between working sometimes because daycare is just not affordable, and I see both sides of it. As a provider and as a mother of 5, the math is brutal, and so the mission isn't some abstract thing I came up with. It's a lived reality that I translated into action. I want families to have a foothold, That's really it.
I love that. And I want to ask you about failure because you said something that really stuck with me. You called yourself an expert at failure. There was a t-shirt business, other ventures that went sideways, and you don't say it with shame. Where does that come from?
I've learned so much from falling on my face, and I really wouldn't trade it for anything because I know what doesn't work. And for people who've been conditioned to think that struggle means something is wrong, I think that's just not accurate. Sometimes failure is the very path God uses to sharpen your clarity and redirect your steps. So I've kind of made peace with it. More than peace, I'm grateful for it.
That's a really freeing frame. What would you say to a business leader or entrepreneur who's in the middle of something that's not working right now?
I'd say if you want to do something, you can do it. It is possible in some way, shape, or form, and if it seems impossible, reframe it. Change your mind. Be happy with something else. It sounds simple, but it's real. And underneath all of it, if you follow what Jesus actually teaches, your life will work out. I can't say what success looks like for everyone, only God can say that, but it's very helpful.
Simple, grounded, and coming from someone who has tested it across addiction, business failure, near divorce, and raising 5 kids, entirely believable. Caitlin, this has been such a genuine conversation. Thank you for sharing so openly. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. I really do. And for everyone listening, the full article is linked in the show notes. If today's conversation resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. We'll see you next time on Kingdom Factor Collective.